sleepy mountain village of Crestwood, where the pines whispered secrets to the wind, Clara Hensley lived a life that felt like a borrowed dream. At 34, she was a vision, golden brown hair cascading in soft waves, hazel eyes that flickered with both warmth and unease, a smile that charmed the townsfolk but hid a quiet ache. Her husband, Daniel, was the village's blacksmith, a broad-shouldered man with calloused hands and a laugh that rumbled like thunder. They'd been married 10 years, a union forged in youthful passion and tempered by routine. He loved her fiercely in his steady, unspoken way, but Clara had begun to feel like a melody trapped in a single note. Before we jump in, real quick, most of you who enjoy these videos still haven't subscribed. If you're one of them, please take a second to hit that button. It helps with channel growth so much and means more than you know. And if you're already subscribed, thank you. Now, let's begin. Began with the puppet. Not a child's toy, but an exquisite marionette, delivered to their doorstep one crisp October morning in a wooden box with no note. Its carved face was delicate, almost alive, painted lips curved in a knowing smile, glass eyes that seemed to follow her. Clara lifted it from the box, her fingers tracing the intricate strings, and felt an odd shiver. "Look at this," she called to Daniel, who was stoking the forge outside. He glanced over, wiping sweat from his brow, and grinned. "Someone got a secret admirer," he teased, then returned to his work. She laughed it off, but the puppet stayed with her, perched on the mantel like a silent guest. A week later, a second arrived. This one was different, darker wood, a sharper jaw, dressed in a tiny velvet coat. Again, no note, no explanation. Clara set it beside the first, her curiosity sharpening into something she couldn't name. Daniel barely noticed. His days were consumed by iron and fire, his evenings by exhaustion. But Clara began to wonder. Who was sending them? Why? She started watching the villagers more closely, the baker with his sly winks, the widow who lingered too long at market, the traveling merchant with his guarded smiles. No one fit. The third puppet came with a message. Tucked beneath its miniature cloak was a slip of paper. "Dance with me." The words sent a jolt through her, equal parts fear and thrill. She hid the note in her sewing box, telling herself it was a game, nothing more. But that night, as Daniel snored beside her, she lay awake, imagining the hands that carved those figures, the mind behind those words. She didn't tell him. She couldn't. Not yet. Puppets kept coming, 5, then 7, then 10, each more detailed, each with a note. "You're more than this," one read. "I see the fire you hide," said another. They weren't love letters, not in the usual sense, but they spoke to a part of Clara. She'd buried the part that once dreamed of cities and stages, of a life beyond the anvil's clang. She stored them in the attic, away from Daniel's eyes, and told herself it wasn't betrayal. She wasn't meeting anyone, wasn't touching anyone. It was just something for her. The sender wasn't content to stay invisible. On a snowy evening in December, as Clara hung laundry by the hearth, a shadow moved past the window. She froze, heart pounding, and peered outside. There, in the flickering lantern light, stood a figure, tall, cloaked, holding a puppet aloft like a signal. Before she could call out, they vanished into the trees. The next morning, a new marionette waited on the porch, its note pinned to its chest. "Meet me at the old mill, midnight." He shouldn't have gone. Every rational thought screamed against it, the cold, the dark, the lie she'd have to tell Daniel. But at 11:30, she slipped on her coat, whispered that she needed air, and left him sleeping. The mill was a ruin, its wheel long stilled, but under the moon's glow, she saw him. He stepped from the shadows, hood falling back to reveal a face she didn't expect, angular, weathered, with eyes like polished obsidian. "I'm Elias," he said, voice low and rough. "I've been watching you." Clara's breath caught. "Why me?" she demanded, clutching her scarf. "What do you want?" He didn't answer directly. Instead, He handed her a puppet, carved with uncanny precision down to the curve of her lips. "Because you're alive," he said, "and no one here sees it." Elias was a puppeteer, a wanderer who'd settled on the village's edge, crafting his art in solitude. He'd seen Clara at the harvest fair, laughing as she danced with Daniel, and something in her had haunted him. "I don't want to take you from him," he said. "I just want you to remember who you are." It was absurd, invasive, but his words sank into her like roots. They talked until the stars faded, about her dreams, his travels, the stories he told through wood and string. No touch, no promises, just a connection that felt like waking up. He returned home before dawn, guilt gnawing at her. Daniel stirred as she slipped into bed, murmuring, "You're cold." She nodded, unable to meet his eyes. The meetings continued once a week, then twice, always at the mill, always with a new puppet. Elias taught her to move them, to make them dance, and with every string she pulled, she felt herself unraveling from the life she'd built. Daniel wasn't blind. He noticed her absences, the way she hummed tunes he didn't know, the splinters on her fingers. "You're different," he said one night, his voice tight. "What's going on, Clara?" she faltered, then lied. "Just restless. Winter's long." He didn't press, but his silence grew heavy, watchful. Breaking point came in February, during the village's ice festival. Elias had asked her to meet him there, promising a surprise. She arrived to find a small stage set up in the square, draped in crimson cloth. He emerged, not in his cloak, but in a performer's vest, and began a show, puppets twirling, leaping, telling a tale of a woman trapped in a tower, yearning for the sky. The crowd gasped, clapped, but Clara saw it for what it was, her story, carved and strung for all to see. Her heart raced, pride, fear, shame colliding. Daniel was there. She hadn't known he'd come, but when the show ended, he stood at her side, his face a mask. "That was you, wasn't it?" he asked, voice low. She nodded, tears welling. "Who made it?" "His name's Elias," she whispered. He's been showing me something I forgot." Daniel's jaw tightened. "And what about me? What am I to you?" She couldn't answer, not then, and he walked away, disappearing into the crowd. That night, she found Elias at the mill. "You shouldn't have done that," she said, voice shaking. "It wasn't yours to show." "It was yours," he countered, stepping closer. "You're not his shadow, Clara." For the first time, he touched her, his hand brushing her cheek, and she pulled away, the line too close, too real. She went home to Daniel. He was in the forge, hammering iron with a fury she'd never seen. "Tell me," he said, not looking up. "All of it." She did. The puppets, the notes, the meetings, the way Elias made her feel alive again. "I didn't sleep with him," she said, "but I wanted to be someone else, and I hate myself for it." Daniel set the hammer down, his hands trembling. "I thought I was enough," he said. "I thought we were enough." "You are," she choked out. I lost me." He didn't speak for days. The puppets stayed in the attic, untouched, and Elias' visits stopped, whether by choice or because Daniel confronted him. She never knew. But one morning, she found a note from Daniel on the table. "Meet me at the forge. Bring one." She chose the first puppet, the one with the knowing smile, and went. He stood there, tools in hand, and said, "Show me how it moves." Hesitant, she did, guiding the strings, making it dance. Daniel watched, then took it, his rough fingers fumbling but learning. "If this is you," he said, "then I'll learn it too." It wasn't forgiveness, not fully, but it was a start. They burned the rest of the puppets together, the smoke curling into the sky, and rebuilt slowly, painfully, with new strings tying them together. Elias faded from Crestwood, his stage empty, but Clara kept one marionette, the one they danced with on the mantel again, a reminder of what she'd nearly lost and what she'd chosen to hold.